I like that background you've got. I feel like you're about to give us a comedy set, Pierce.
Oh, I thought it looked fake, actually.
Oh, it looks real. Sorry, there's a brick wall behind him for listeners. Yes, there's a brick wall
Yeah,
right
there's a
behind
brick
Pierce.
wall. I thought it looked like I had like a filter on, but it's real.
Filter usually it's all like weird around the edges, whereas yours looks pretty
Yeah,
solid.
No,
clipping.
I love the background. It's good. We're gonna hear some stand up. It's great.
Yeah,
All right.
you need a microphone.
I need a neon sign as well. I don't even know what the I don't know what the official topic is either.
Don't
All right,
worry.
I know
We'll tell
generally
you.
what we're talking about, but
We'll tell you.
We'll tell you when
Surprise!
it comes up. But first, how's it going, Pierce? We haven't seen you on this podcast since, what was it, episode 6 of our first
Yeah,
quote unquote
yeah,
season?
I got to be the first guest, and now I get to be the first repeat guest.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's right.
It's special.
That was
I demanded it. They're like, we actually wanted to have someone else, and I was like, it's not. No, that's not okay.
yes. We've given into
Uh,
many demands of yours, Pierce.
He is doing stand up. So
Yeah, that's great. Maybe there's something a brick wall that's very inspiring.
I think it was. I don't know if you actually remember when it was, but I feel like it was earlier in the year. Like I think it's been more than a year.
has it?
No, because we only
No?
started it last. We started in December, and you were our first guest. I
You
think we had
did?
you on in January
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
February at the
All
latest.
right,
I think it
then
was
I've
probably January.
Completely lost the sense of time.
That's okay.
I like that it feels like we've been doing this for a long time.
Yeah, I'm glad.
Maybe because of the break.
Yeah, we took a few month break. Yeah, I just want to say, like, not long ago we saw each other in person, and I thought that was great because I came to visit in Canada for the film festival and everything. And Pierce, I just want to say thank you because you picked me and my girlfriend up from the airport in Toronto and drove us to London 2 hours away and
Wow,
came
that's
to
a
the
good
festival.
friend.
Yeah, and we got dinner together.
I wouldn't have
Yeah.
done that. Yeah, not for you, Josh.
Yeah,
He owes me now.
that was super nice, and we really,
That
really
was nice.
appreciate it. And
Where'd you guys go for dinner?
Kelsey's?
What?
Kelsey's,
Oh, okay.
I didn't mean to. I was gonna get sushi, and then I realized I didn't realize it. We just walked up and it was closed. So
Yeah.
in the same
sushi
plaza, there
was
was
good.
Kelsey's.
honestly, those chicken tenders that we had were pretty bomb.
You can't go wrong with chicken tenders.
Better than LA.
My girlfriend was like, "These are the best chicken tenders I've ever had," and I'm like,
No.
"We're in a Kelsey's," and she's
So you
like, "I
guys
don't know what to
Yeah.
tell you. These are amazing."
She didn't know what she was missing in the US.
Exactly.
Yeah, what's wrong with your tenders in the US? Like Kelsey shouldn't be that amazing, to be honest. No offense,
Everything's just
but
better in Canada. What can we say?
Clearly.
Made a mistake moving away.
Clearly.
Yeah, I didn't really. I mean, seeing you was like 24 hours, really. And then I saw Aya for like 5 seconds. I mean, I saw you for like a couple hours in the movie
Yeah.
theater, but we weren't talking.
No. We didn't talk during Josh's movie like the whole time.
I wanted to.
Well, that's a
You
good
wanted
thing.
to. Yeah, we were polite. But yes,
But at least technically, we all saw each other for some period of time.
we spent time in the same area.
I also want to apologize, Pierce, for falling asleep in your car on the drive to
What
London.
is this?
I expected you to.
I was hoping to have it's fun to have a great conversation on like the drive back, and we were so tired because we flew in the middle of the night because that was so my girlfriend could continue doing her job during the day. So we flew at night. We hardly got any sleep, of course, on the plane, even though we wanted to. So your car was where we got our sleep.
Yeah. I don't expect you to sleep ever, so.
As long as you don't fall asleep now, Josh, because that would be rude. But
No, I'm gonna make it up to you
now
right
you
now.
can
I'm
have-
gonna be wide awake for this.
Exactly. Now
conversation.
you can have that conversation that you wanted.
Great. You got your coffee?
Do you even need coffee, Josh? I feel like you're naturally like pretty like bing.
I have no need for coffee. I don't mind coffee, but I don't think it's not like I need my coffee in the morning like some people. I don't know. Are you like that, Pierce?
No, but I'm weird.
I guess we're both weird.
I love coffee, but
I
it's not.
sleep though.
Yeah.
Like you don't sleep, so you don't have a morning really.
You know, I do sleep. I slept last night and I slept well. So, it happens from time to time.
If you say so.
Yeah, but the fact that you have to specify I slept last night kind of suggests that's not normal for you. I think that's.
You know what? Maybe eventually I'll get there.
And everyone
Yeah.
who's listening to this already knows about your sleep schedule, Josh. So who are you lying to other than yourself?
What do you mean schedule?
Exactly.
It's true.
Exactly. Should we get started? Yeah.
Yeah.
Welcome back to Adulthood Friends. This is the discussion-based podcast where two former childhood acquaintances, now friends, discuss the things that adverb Josh or Pierce. Pierce, you want to think of an adverb for us?
Superbly.
Superbly. All right. Superbly matter. And Josh, that's your adverb of the week.
Yeah, superbly. That's your adverb of the week.
You can't use mine. You need to make up your own.
We only needed one, Pierce. It's okay. Nobody's going to take it. And I'm Aya.
I'm Josh.
And today we have on a special guest, our first guest and our first recurring guest, which you may have already said, Pierce Zaifman. Welcome, Pierce.
Welcome, Pierce.
Yes. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you. All my adoring fans.
The day everybody's been waiting for, we finally got Pierce back on. Today we're going to be talking about moving. So what are the benefits, consequences, and difficulties of moving? Does moving away mean moving forwards? What does it take to move? And do you think you have to move to be able to grow? So we'll talk about big moves in our lives and
small moves.
And small moves and
dance moves.
Dance moves. I can talk about dance moves. I'm Pierce. You can't do that.
I guess
we can all talk about dance moves. Yeah. So shall we get into it?
Wait, what episode number is this?
Shit, every time. So this is episode 29. And yeah, thanks for listening. And here we go. Let's get into it. And we're back.
It's so good to be back.
It does feel good.
It's like we never left.
It is. It's almost like we were just sitting here humming the tune for a minute or two.
I haven't listened in a while, actually. I don't remember it anymore. I don't remember the theme song.
That's fair. We haven't had any new episodes in a while.
Yeah, we had a break.
Had a little break, so it's time to catch up. So, Pierce, I hear you're moving soon. Or you're in the process of moving, right? You said something about you're in an Airbnb at the moment. Are you kind of in limbo right now?
Well, kind of, yes. I live in London, Ontario, or I've been living there for, it's kind of crazy. I feel like I lived in Calgary for a few years and then I didn't know what to do. So I went back to London where I'm from. And then I was like, I'll just be here for a little while and then I'll figure out what to do. And now I'm pretty sure it's been 5 years.
That's how it happens.
Like, oh, wow, it's been 5 years. What happened?
There was also a pandemic.
Yeah.
Wait, why did you move to Calgary? What happened there?
That was my first real job, or I don't know what you want to call it, first post-graduating job.
And for those who don't understand, Calgary is in Alberta, which is another province in Canada. There's a lot of Americans listening who have no idea.
Canada's north of America.
Yeah, and how long of a flight is that from where you're from in London?
It was like, it depended on the way you...
But if it were like a direct flight, for instance, how
Well, like, so the direct, I want to say it was like 3.5 hours, but the way, I'm trying to remember, one way was faster just because of air currents that I can't explain the science of. So one way was like 3.5 hours, the other way was like 4.5 hours.
Oh, wow.
I think it's usually longer to go west.
And if I recall correctly, you're not a big fan of flying, right?
No, I didn't used to care. Like when I was, until like I was 24, 25, every trip on anything like a train, a bus, car, airplane, maybe not a boat, but everything else was like, I'll just fall asleep instantly and this is totally fine. And then I became slightly traumatized and was like, I hate this now and I never want to fly.
How'd you become traumatized? Tell us everything. You don't have to.
All the details. I mean, it's not a very long story. I just flew from my greatest mistake, not having the direct flight, which made me go on a connecting flight to Toronto, which is like a 30-minute flight from London.
Mm-hmm.
That flight was on a prop plane that was like 18, 20 seats or something. So it was like way more sensitive to the wind and stuff.
Oh.
And I haven't been on one in like a very long time. So maybe this is totally normal. Nobody else seemed to care. The whole flight, it felt like the plane was shaking and I was like, I'm going to die. Like, this is it.
Those are scary. I've been on those. It's not great. Everybody else is fine.
No one else. Yeah. They're like, well, I don't know what they were thinking, but they all seemed totally fine. There was like even another pilot who was like a passenger just sitting there. I was like, I'm sure like I can see them. It's probably fine, but in my head, I'm just like, that's it.
Well, that's also the propeller, so they're like,
Yeah,
the whole time. It's brutal. Yeah.
exactly like that.
Yeah.
So then I landed and I was like, well, now I have to get on the next flight. And I was like, I don't know if I can do this. Like, because it was just a connecting flight. I still had to go on the like longer, like 3 hour flight.
Mm.
And then, I mean, I did it somehow. And then I was like, I hate this. And I was like, I need the drugs. I need something. I can't fly again.
Need the drugs.
Which drugs are like benzodiazepine or something like that? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, what I had was called lorazepam, but I guess Pam is like the key.
A PAM. Yeah.
Yeah. Pam is.
If it's a PAM, it's gonna relax.
some Pam.
Knock you. Yeah. I haven't had it in a while. And the last time I flew, I took it with me, but I was like, I'm gonna try not taking it. Maybe I can do it. And it was okay.
Okay.
I got through the flight, so I'm getting better again. But
Yeah.
I still like having it in case. But yeah, those drugs they're good.
Drugs are the best.
The movie you're doing now is not
I'm
doesn't
not
require
flying
flying,
anywhere.
so that's
Yeah,
good.
no, it's
It's
easy.
a 2 hour drive, right? So
Yeah, I'll probably have flights. I was supposed to have flights last year.
Mhm.
I mean, COVID, whatever.
I'm curious though, what was that move to Calgary, and how long were you in Calgary for?
It was like 3.5 years, roughly.
3.5 years. So what was that like? What was that experience like, moving there, being there, away from home? And I should mention too, this episode's kind of feels almost like a sequel to our last episode.
For me.
No, our last episode we just did is about
Oh.
home.
Oh. Right.
Oh, I thought it was about something else. I don't know if I'm allowed to say.
No, that's the one before it.
All right, I was like, how is this related to that?
Yeah, this
It's
is
also
the sequel-
related to
this-
how is
this
it
is the
related to
sequel
abortion?
abortion.
Yeah, I was like,
Well,
what's
first you
happening
have an
here?
abortion, and then you move, and then
You got to get out
abortion
of there.
is a kind of move for the
Oh my
fetus
god,
as well. Oh my
we're not
God.
done with
Josh,
the abortion jokes.
Jesus Christ,
Dump
it's
it out.
ridiculous.
Oh my god, he got his abortion joke in. Yeah, I just was wondering, like, so again, we talked about home last time. So you moved away from home to Calgary, which is, as you said, 3.5 to 4.5 hours flight away. Did you know anybody there when you got there, and what was it like settling in there?
So basically, when I was I graduated in computer science and I was looking for a job, and I thought, okay, I guess I don't know why, even though I had never really lived anywhere but my hometown, for some reason in my head, I just thought like, it's time. Like it's getting this job, so I'm just wherever I find a job, I'm just gonna go there. It doesn't matter. I mean, to some degree, I didn't want to go like outside of North America. Really, I wasn't that adventurous. But I thought, if it's like Canada, the U.S., like I'll do it. So I just started looking at jobs like on whatever the job boards are. I don't even remember anymore. And I found some like kind of nearby, like an hour or two drive, and none of them were really like that great, or like I wasn't getting like called back for anything. I interviewed at like Facebook, Amazon, I don't know, some other companies. I sent
Other
All the
tiny
evil
companies
big
like that.
companies, yeah.
and like some of them I had like the process went through, but like I just didn't make it. Some of them I just never like really heard back from. And then I got this interview for this company in Calgary, which was a startup company, and I was like, oh, it's so interesting, a startup company, and they were offering a percentage of their profits, and I was like, wow, I'm gonna be a millionaire, this is it. And I did say like, okay, like I know it's a risk, maybe it won't work out, but it sounds cool, I'm gonna try it. So I applied and interviewed and did all this stuff, and then I eventually had to fly there for like my final interview, which was really stressful. Also, I don't know if I made her, but I got my mom to come with me.
Oh, that's nice of her.
Like she flew to Calgary with me to like basically keep me company for my interview.
That's nice.
It's really nice of her. Yeah.
Moms are the best sometimes, man. Sorry, Josh.
Like, I mean, she didn't come to the interview, but she like hung out in Calgary for the day while I did my interview.
That's sweet.
I had my interview, like it was kind of stressful. I had to do like whiteboard problem solving.
Oh, really? Wow, that's intense.
Yeah. And then at the end, I don't know if they like what they would have done if I did really poorly, But at the end,
Just not hire you, I think.
well, at the end, we all went out for dinner. So like that would have been really weird if like
If they didn't
it
hire
went
you.
poorly.
They already knew they wanted you. That's
But
why you
would
came
they
all the
have?
way out
Would
there.
they have taken you out? Yeah, I feel
Yeah,
like.
maybe not. Maybe they would have been like, see you later.
Yeah, I don't think they would have invited you for dinner if they didn't really want to hire you. Although I don't know.
So we all went for dinner, and they basically told me they're like, we're gonna send you a offer tomorrow or something. So I was like, okay, cool.
That's awesome.
So then I flew back, and I still had like a couple months of school left, so I had to actually finish school. And then I was like, I guess I'm moving to Calgary now. I didn't necessarily think it through. I was just like, I have to get a job, so here we go.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, I guess I'm moving now. All right, okay. So I found a place, and like I couldn't go see it, and also I didn't know really anybody in Calgary.
So you had zero connections there, like whatsoever?
So I have one distant relative who I'd never met in my life, and another like family's relatives, like not my family, like a family from London who we kind of know. My sister's better friends with their family than I am.
Mm-hmm.
And they had relatives in Calgary, and like we can put you in touch with them because they're Jewish, so like connect you to the community. So I was like, okay, I guess. So that was it. It's just these two people who like I didn't know at all, and they weren't able to like. I probably wouldn't have asked them anyway, but they definitely couldn't go and like check out apartments for me.
Yeah.
I just had to kind of hope. Like I looked at the pictures, and hopefully this is real. And it turned out it was. So like everything worked out good with the apartment.
And what were those first few days like there, that first week or two?
It wasn't even the first week, like the first day. Also, my mom came to help me move.
Oh, like, again, that's good. It's good to have
She
someone
came,
help
yeah.
you, like come with you when you move somewhere.
We like, I had to wait there like all day basically for like furniture that I'd ordered to like come in and all this stuff. So we kind of just like hung out at the empty apartment, and then when things came in, I like assembled them and just kind of hung out. And then eventually, me and my mom went for dinner, and it was like, okay, bye. Like, I'm gonna live here now. And then like the next day was a Sunday, I think. So like I hadn't started work yet. I went to do, I don't know what I did on that day. I did some stuff. Maybe I got groceries or something. Anyway, I remember having dinner at the end of the day and was like, oh God, like what did I do? Like I was having like I don't remember exactly what I was thinking, but I remember having like a panic attack. And I was like, oh my God. Again, I don't remember what I was thinking, but I was just kind of freaking out. So there was actually I don't think it was a hospital, but there was like a large clinic nearby, like 2 blocks away. And I was like, I guess I'll go there. Like maybe they'll do something to me. I don't know. I'm just freaking out. So I like walked down the street. I was like, hello, I don't remember what I told them. I was just like, I just moved here. I'm kind of freaking out, or I don't remember what I said. They like checked my blood pressure and they're like, you seem okay. And they're like, well, I'll take you to I don't know if she was like a nurse or like a psychologist or somebody, some staff there they took me to. And she just kind of said like, this is totally normal. Like you just moved here. She like basically got like a map of the city and was like, here's some things, like, so you know where these things are. Don't worry about it. Like this will pass. And I was like, oh, okay, I guess I'll go home. And anyway, I went home, and then once I started work, it was a lot more calm. It's like, okay, I'm working. Like this is my thing. Like I'm doing my job, and I have like this.
Your purpose there.
Yeah. So once that started, it was a lot more stable.
Mm-hmm. Did it get better over time? Did you feel like you fit in over time, or?
Kind of. Like I did, but I also wasn't. There was a few things going on. One is just that I wasn't like, I don't know how to explain it, like developed enough or like grown enough into like being able to build all those social connections and things myself.
Mm-hmm.
The other was that some of the things I was used to, like a Jewish community, were like not, like they existed, but not in a very helpful way. I couldn't really connect with people there. Their community was kind of small and not really helpful. I had like my work colleagues, but everyone would just go home at the end of the day.
Right.
Like some of them we kind of hung out, but for the most part, everyone kind of just was like, okay, bye, work's over, I'm leaving now.
You had 3.5 years of this, you said, right? Was that a satisfying, like, do you have any regrets? Are you happy you did this?
I don't have any regrets. I don't really believe in
That's
regret.
good.
I mean, mainly because you don't know what if you said like, oh, if I did this thing instead, like, I mean, you don't really know where you would have ended up then.
That's true.
That's
Yeah,
good.
that's a
I
good
like
outlook.
that way of
Yeah.
thinking.
So
Yeah.
it's kind of hard to say like, oh, I should have done this other thing.
But there were definite struggles for this move, right?
Yeah, so like I don't remember the timeline, but like after that initial freak out, I kind of calmed down for a while, but then eventually it was like I'm kind of lonely here. Like I still don't haven't made a lot of friends outside of work.
Did it at least make you a millionaire like you thought?
No, the company never made any money.
But they still paid you, right? Like,
They paid me, but it was like a lower salary than what is normal, which I was fine with. I was
yeah,
just like, oh, this is. I knew this was part of
like the risk.
the
Yeah.
risk, so I didn't really care about that. I mean, it would have been cool to like have a super successful thing, but whatever. So like that, all the work stuff was good. It was like good experience, and then after like I don't know, like 2 or 3 years, I was like kind of feeling like I don't know, like if this work is really going anywhere, and like kind of want to not be here anymore, but I don't really know what to do either.
Can I just say, you're mentioning, socially and that kind of being where your struggle was. I think, for us, when I first saw you and kind of connected with you after like a long time again, it was in
In
Calgary, right?
Calgary, yeah, I remember a picture. It
Yeah,
was
we got a picture together in Calgary. I don't know if you knew this, Aya.
I didn't know
about the
that. No.
picture.
I didn't know about the picture or
There's
about.
no- about me coming to see. So I wasn't like coming to see you in Calgary. In fact, I had no reason to otherwise go to Calgary. It's just
It was like a layover, I
it's
think,
a
wasn't
layover, yeah. While I was coming back from Los Angeles to visit or whatever, back in London, and for some reason it stopped in Calgary. So I was like, "Oh, who's in Calgary? Pierce is in Calgary. We should meet up." And I'd have like 2 to 3 hours there. I remember like hardly any time, and I remember
Classic
getting a
Josh.
half hour to
I would
1
just
hour.
hang out in the airport like a normal person with a book.
I mean,
Like,
yeah, but Pierce was there.
I know that's very nice.
I'm like, this is
Josh.
the opportunity to hang out with Pierce in Calgary. So we went and got some lunch, I think. I mean, it happened, I think, twice. And one of the times, again, I was so tired. I remember whenever, I'm coming off a plane, I'm so tired. One of the times it was the Calgary Stampede was going on. It's
Ew.
like a famous, you know what that is,
Yeah,
Pierce?
it's a big thing.
I know, I know. I'm just
Oh,
trying to
okay.
Of
remember
course he
the
knows.
second.
He lives
You looked like you
there.
didn't know what I was talking about. I'm like,
I was trying to remember the second. I only remember one time.
I think I saw you twice, unless I didn't see you the time I went to the Calgary Stampede.
Josh, let's be honest. Maybe you just fell asleep and dreamt that you saw.
No,
Pierce the
so
second
here's the
time.
thing. I went to the Calgary Stampede briefly and I fell asleep there.
Oh my god! So that is.
But it was very scary because I almost missed my flight.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say you almost got like ran over.
No, I didn't
That's
fall.
so
I didn't like
too.
I wasn't in front of
was
like a
totally-
bull. Like
I was expecting you to be like next to the horse or whoever is stampeding. Like,
stampeding. It was, I don't know, I just remember some hallway filled with people.
yeah,
and-
don't fall asleep during a stampede. Seems like some good advice in life.
Like I literally was
Good
sleeping on the.
advice.
I probably looked like a homeless person. Like I was against like the wall, like on my backpack, just kind of like on the ground. Like I fell asleep there. That's how tired
Typical.
I was.
Yeah.
I could have sworn I saw you that time, but
It
maybe
might have. I just don't remember.
I thought it happened twice, but I could be wrong.
It might have happened twice.
No, not that.
This is why you
not
need
that
to
it's
take
not memorable.
pictures because now you
Yeah.
have no proof of whether he was there, whether you guys saw each other the second time.
Well, we definitely have at least one picture.
Yeah. Well, I remember the restaurant too because I went there all the time.
Okay, so I just remember at least feeling like when I saw you there, that was extremely memorable for me. I kind of was like, yeah, I've been to Calgary now. Like I don't count a layover in a place unless I see a friend there or I see somebody that I oh my God, I saw that eye roll. You're not going to get away with that eye roll. No, I mean it.
It's just like, it's like you always have to like get something out of something, and you're like, okay, I'm on a layover. This doesn't count as being in the city unless I meet someone.
Huh.
Hey, you person, like it's just such a Josh thing. I'm sorry. I don't know that I could explain my eye roll away, but
No, that's I get how you would think that, but yeah, it's true. I believe that, and I think that seeing you there, Pierce, made it a very memorable experience. And also, I felt like that was, I don't know if that was the beginning, but like it was like part of that thread that we were building towards where we are now, in our friendship. And I felt like without having done that, we might not. If I'm thinking about it, like, would we be the friends we are now?
See, if I regretted being there, maybe we wouldn't be talking right now.
Exactly. That's what.
ooh,
Exactly.
yeah. And you're happy that we're here talking, I guess.
Yeah.
So there's no regret.
I was optional. I didn't have to be here.
That's true. Yeah.
I mean, Josh has ways with words, but
You did demand it. You
yeah,
did say, I
I
need
thought
to
you
be the.
demanded it.
Yeah, right.
it was my
I must
demand.
be the first recurring guest.
I remember it. I don't remember like exactly how I felt, but I'm pretty sure that that was one of the like because I was feeling kind of lonely and wasn't feeling like connected to people. I was like, I can connect with this person. Like
Oh,
he's my friend.
that's so
Like
nice.
so it was like one thing to like tap into.
Hmm.
Yeah, because I just whatever. I can't explain why I wasn't connecting with people that well, or if it was my fault or just the city or whatever. But it just wasn't happening for whatever reason.
I think it's because Calgary is too cold.
Uh, yeah, it was okay.
You can't
I
connect.
didn't mind the cold.
No, it has nothing to do with that. I just wanted to point out that Calgary is super cold.
Oh my god.
Yeah, but yeah. When I lived there, I never. Well, I almost never went to
Josh,
the
are you laughing at
Stampede.
your own joke?
No, it was just such a stupid thing for me to say.
What? Yeah.
Let's move on
okay.
now. Get rid of that joke.
Yeah, let's move. Knowing when to move on.
Move.
Is
Oh,
Let's
that's
move
good.
on from this.
Yeah, at the Stampede, I like never really went, even though I lived there. And actually,
Yeah.
the office I was at was like blocks from the Stampede grounds.
What is the Stampede exactly? Like it's something with
It's
animals
just like
that I
a it's
probably
like a
don't know.
festival
Like a bunch of
basically
cowboys. It's like
for
a
like
cowboy thing.
10 days, I think. It's like a
Okay.
carnival kind of.
Carnival for country people.
So
Like
they have all kinds of events. There's like so the one time I went, which was right before I left, like ended up moving. Our office paid for like everyone to have a ticket or something, and
Oh,
we
cool.
all went together.
Okay.
And so that was the only time I went. But they had like all the like carnival food. I don't know, like a
Ooh.
giant banana covered in chocolate or whatever. Like you get all this kind of stuff. And we went to like they had like a giant arena. We watched like a motocross thing. So like
What
there's just all kinds of stuff. They had
what is
motorcycles
that?
doing like flips.
Oh.
Yeah,
They,
motorcycle stuff.
they actually had like snowmobiles doing flips at one point.
Oh my
That
god.
sounds very Calgary.
I was like, this is crazy. And they're like they like almost touched the ceiling, and I was like,
That's
this
crazy.
this is dangerous.
Do they also clean snow? Oh no, snowmobiles aren't snow
Yeah.
plows. Oh, I
No,
was
no, no.
picturing like
And
snow
there was
plows
this
doing
wasn't
flips.
like there was no snow either. They were like doing it on dirt.
So weird.
Like part of it, I don't know if this was just the first day, but I would always see it from our office because there'd be like a parade and they'd have all these horses going down the road.
Hmm.
So we'd always see like the parade go outside the office, but I didn't go much. And like there's all this skiing there by Banff, and I don't ski. People are like, you gotta go skiing. I would say like I don't. It's not for me. So like I felt like all this stuff that was there was not really my thing. The last year I was there, like I had already kind of wanted to leave, but like I said, I didn't really know what to do. I was kind of like afraid to make a decision. I was just like, well, I'm not really happy here, but I don't know. Like, do I have a better idea? I guess I'll just like keep staying here, even though I'm not really happy. Luckily, I guess the company decided to make some changes. So I was there for like 3 years at this point, and they said, "Hey guys, like, got some like exciting news. We're gonna be giving people like shares in the company, like actual shares, because before we had like this vague agreement about profit sharing.
Hmm.
Basically, we said like, okay, cool, and they said it will take 3 years for these shares to vest, and I was like, oh, okay. And we're like having this meeting, like everybody's there, and the founder of the company was on like a video call or whatever, telling us all this stuff. And I never, I guess I didn't care, but like I felt comfortable like talking to the founder. I wasn't like afraid to say things. So I said like, will like the people who've already been here for 3 years, do they have to like, do they have to vest like another 3 years? He's like, yes, like that's how it will work. And I was like, oh, it seems kind of unfair that we've already been here 3 years. Now you want us to wait another 3 years for the thing that you said we were going to have from day one.
Mm.
And I forget what he said, but something like, oh, I'm sorry you feel that way. I was like, what the? I was like so angry, and I was like,
Oh.
I'm leaving. I'm quitting. Immediately after that, I was like, I have to quit. Like, this is it. I'm definitely not staying here 3 years. Also, I remember this. That was the day we were going to the Stampede for like free.
Mm.
So we're like all walking to the Stampede after we have this meeting together. I'm like, so that was pretty crazy, right, guys? Like, who's gonna stay 3 years? And they're like, I might stay. And I was like, what the heck? Like, shouldn't everyone be angry about this? I don't know if people didn't want to say anything because like they felt uncomfortable like being open about it. But I was like, okay.
I mean, they may also not have had any other options, right? Like maybe
Yeah,
they was just like,
that was just their
this is the
job.
job
And
I have. I don't care about. Yeah.
yeah. So I wasn't really happy about that. And that kind of pushed me over the edge of like, I'm okay, I'm not staying here anymore. I'm quitting and I'm moving. Like, I got to get out of here.
Do you think if they didn't even offer that as a possibility, that you would have stayed?
Yeah.
I definitely would have stayed longer. I don't know how long it would have taken me to like
Mm.
reach the edge of insanity.
It's interesting. Yeah. Because they offer you something. They're like, it'll be another 3 years. Then you're like, I don't want to stay here another 3 years. So I might as well not stay here like another day.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that happened and I thought about it for a bit and like even though I say that, I still didn't quit like the next day. I had to like build up to it. I was like, I'm gonna like today is the day, like I'm gonna do it. And then I was like, oh, maybe like next week or like I've got a
It's like a
vacation coming
breakup.
up. Maybe I'll like do it after the vacation. So
Exactly like a breakup.
Yeah. Got like a weekend away. I'll finish that.
yeah. Like while I was building up to it, the co-founder quit.
Oh.
Like so he quit before me and I was like, no, like he quit before. I really got it. Like this place is sinking. Like I got to get out of here. So like eventually I decided to quit and like I remember I just couldn't say it. I felt so nervous and like uncomfortable. Like you said, like a breakup
Yeah.
or I don't know what else to compare it to.
I think that's it.
And that day where I was like, okay, I'm doing it like today. I'm going to do it. The guy who was like my manager basically was working from home that day. And I was like, oh God, like I built up to this, like I was going to tell him today. And I was like, I don't care anymore. Like, I'm just going to text, like we had Slack. That was how we used messaging. So I was like, I'm just going to write him a message like, hey, I don't remember what I wrote, but I was like,
I think after 7 dates, you have to do it in person. Isn't that how
I'm not that kind about it.
No, it's okay. I think for a job, even an email is okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You just told them like I'm quitting. I'm sorry.
I don't remember what I wrote it in like a very nice way, as nice as I could.
Professional.
He's like, okay, I understand. Like, let me like talk to you tomorrow or something about it. And I was like, okay, sure, that's fine. So he came and talked to me and he's like, so why did you make this decision? And I was like, because of this thing that I mentioned from the meeting the other day. He's like, yeah, but I don't remember what he said. I think he tried to convince me and then he's like, okay, like I understand. Like he's much, not like a lot older than me, but he's been working for at least 10 years more than I had, or maybe 15 years. So he was like much more familiar with, people coming in and leaving companies, like just that's the way it is. So he wasn't like mad or anything. So that was kind of done. And I was like, okay, I did it. Like, oh. And then the other part that was really hard, I had a guy who I became friends with from our office who lived in the building, like 2 buildings down from where I was staying. I often would walk home with him because it was the same way. And on the way home, we're like chit-chatting about whatever. And in my head, I'm like saying to him, like, I quit. Like, I want to tell you that I quit. And he's just talking about whatever. And I'm like, haha, cool. Like, what? And I'm like trying to say it to him. And I think I felt like really like choked up and like I was going to cry or something. But I just had like so much emotion. I was like, I don't know how to, I don't remember what I said, but I just said like, hey, like I quit today. Like something like that. I was really like blunt about it. He's like, haha, like he thought I was joking. And I was like, really, like I quit. He's like, oh my God, like, are you okay? Like, I remember being like, just really like shaky and like, oh my God, I don't know. There's like so much energy.
There's kind of that fear of the unknown of what's coming next, right? That you're filled with, right? Like,
I think, and also people's response, like you don't know how people will respond to that.
Yeah, and you're also kind of leaving your friend, like who's part of the company. So it's like,
right.
You're saying bye to this guy too, right? Like,
well, he didn't know you were leaving the city, did he?
No, that was the other thing. Like, I didn't think about it when I said that to people. I kind of just assumed that was obvious for some reason. So they'd be like, oh, like, yeah, you're leaving. So like, where are you going? Like, what company you're going to? And I was like, I'm not going to any company. Like, I'm going back to London. I'm just going to figure out. And like, oh, you're leaving Calgary. And I was like, oh, I guess that wasn't clear. Like, yeah, I'm not.
It's like, why else would I stay in a shit town? No.
Oh, no.
You losers, I'm out of here.
Let's not offend Calgary. You never know.
Let's offend Calgary.
Yeah. They know. They made their decision.
They know. What do they have? They just have the Stampede.
A lot of people I worked with don't live there anymore, and like some of them were born there, like had generations of family there.
Hmm.
I know one guy who went to Google, or maybe it was Facebook actually. Well, one guy went to Google, one guy went to Facebook. Another, all in the States also. One guy went to Wayfair in the States too. So everybody left basically.
So what was it like moving back then, and how quickly did you do that? Did you call your mom?
I
You're like,
did
I'm
it
moving back.
fast, like to the point that I couldn't get rid of everything in my apartment, partially because I had to live there still. So I sold stuff online that I could. I found out that everyone tries to like cheat you, and I was like, I just don't care. Just take it. Whatever you want. You only want to pay $10. Fine. I don't care. Cause like I like had booked a flight. I was like, I gotta leave. Like
Yeah.
and like I can't just wait around to like hope another better buyer will come along.
Mm.
So I sold like an office chair that was like I'm like $100 for like I think I put it up for $40, and they came to buy it like with cash, and like I've only got 20. I was like, fine, okay, take it, whatever.
Those little, see, that's why Calgary is a bad name. No, I'm just kidding. People are like
Yeah.
that everywhere.
Oh, it's everywhere.
It's everywhere.
Yeah, so
People are jerks everywhere.
I don't know why this is like the saddest part I'm hearing so far. It's just like
you saw
Yeah,
my
like
that
furniture.
office
God,
this is like that point
that
in the
chair.
movie where you dip, where that dip happens, and
This was like I was happy. I was like, finally, like I can go home and everything will be good again. My life will be restored.
So you were happy to go home without any like other prospects. You're like, I don't care about the job. I'm just gonna go back
Yeah,
to my parents' place and like.
Yeah, originally, like before I quit, I was looking for jobs and like applying to
Mm.
places. And I wasn't really getting much response. And initially, I thought like I have to have a job before I quit.
Mm.
That might have been also why it took me longer to quit than like doing it immediately because I was looking for jobs. And I think at some point I just decided like I don't care. I don't need the money. Like it's fine. I mean, if I was renting a place, then for sure I wouldn't really want to do that. But since my parents were okay with it, it's like I'll just go live at home.
Yeah.
so you moved away for work, but you moved back for something else,
Sanity.
for sanity.
Comfort.
Well, also I just had
Comfort.
nothing else like to. Yeah, there was nothing else like on the horizon, so I was like, well, I don't want to be here, so this is the only other place to go, really.
So you moved back in with your mother, and then coming back, did you immediately feel better for a while? Like,
Yeah,
were you just like, I'm home?
it was nice. Like, it wasn't just that because at the time, I don't know if it was exactly when I came back, but there was a point in time where everyone in my family was actually living at home because like my one sister was there for some reason, my other sister was there for some reason, my brother got a concussion, so he was like, I'm gonna come home because I don't want to like it's just easier to be at home while I'm like recovering from the concussion. I was like, this is great, like everybody's at home, I got my whole family, I don't have a job, but whatever.
Wasn't your brother? He was a city councilor at one
His
point.
city councilor, yeah.
No.
At that time, like he got the concussion while he was a city councilor.
Right.
From being city councilor, that I didn't realize
No,
that was such
I
a
don't think those
risk.
two are related.
high risk job.
Maybe that would happen too. It was from a door
Oh,
with dangerous doors.
sorry, I shouldn't make light. Concussions are really shitty. So
Yeah,
sorry.
I've never had
Yeah.
one, so it's fine.
Classic Pierce humor.
It's not a joke. Yeah, so that was that. I mean, there's tons of stuff that happened while I was there, but nothing like.
But when did you ended up getting another job? Probably not long after, right?
It was a bit of time, like, but not because I was having trouble finding jobs. I just wasn't looking.
Right, you were able to take your time and relax.
Yeah, so it's hard to explain, but in the past few years of my life, I've been like purposely like trying to grow and do a lot of self-development and all these kinds of things.
Yeah.
And it's been like roughly like 3 years. And I think back to Calgary and I'm like, I wasn't willing to do that at the time. But if I was, it may have been a different experience where I like did a lot of growing there. I didn't, but I could imagine somebody else having that experience and going like, oh, there's all these challenges. Like I'm going to learn all these things and grow and whatever.
I'm going to go to the Calgary Stampede every single year.
I'm gonna go to
Isn't it sometimes though like harder to grow? So okay, one of our questions was, do you have to move to grow? And like what you're saying is you could have used that as an opportunity to grow when you were in a different city. But sometimes I feel like even the most basic things can be such challenges in a new place. even just having, it's not like you already have your social network or you already have all these things that you can lean on, and then you can grow because, you've got stuff around you. When you don't have that like infrastructure, it's hard to grow on top of that. Like you're already worrying about like, you're also living, this is when you were living alone for the first time too, right?
Yeah.
So you're also figuring out all of that stuff. You're figuring out how to cook for yourself, how to do all this stuff. And also you're supposed to figure out, you know, all the internal things. I think it can work for people, but sometimes like the idea that you have to move out or you have to go somewhere completely different to be able to grow is a little bit like, it puts a lot of pressure on people who are already dealing with just the basics, right? Like,
I don't think you have to. I just can see that there was opportunities there. Like there were
Mhm.
challenges that I could have
right.
risen to, so to speak.
Oh,
But there
okay.
was
Okay.
there was a lot of stuff that you did grow there for, right? We don't, it's like we're not counting it for some reason, but like again, like you said, moving to some place and learning to live alone.
Yeah, I was in another city I'd never been to.
Yeah, going to a whole brand new place.
I guess if you learn to live alone for the first time, that is a whole thing.
Like that was a huge shift, and that requires a whole,
yeah, you did rise to
there's
it.
a lot of growth that's involved with that, right?
It was also I had lived outside my parents' home, but with roommates.
Mm.
And also I lived in the same city as my family, so it was different in a lot of ways.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I've still never lived somewhere without other people. Like I've never lived alone somewhere. I realize
it's more expensive.
Like you've never lived without roommates?
Never.
You can't afford it.
Wow.
I mean, I don't have
I wonder.
I have my own room in this house, but
sorry, you like housemates, but I wonder, like, I feel like you wouldn't like you. I don't know. Based on what I know of you, Josh,
I like people, Aya.
yeah, I feel like you really thrive on having people around as much as possible. Like you like being in a house with a bunch of people, right?
Yeah, I do. That's like one of my
Yeah.
favorite things. I like,
Yeah, you love people.
yeah, we can all lean on each other. It's great.
Oh, that's so nice.
I kind of like it also, or I've realized I like it, but at this point, I'm not. When I look for a place, I'm not going to look for roommates because I feel like it's just a risk like, of people. I don't know who they are. Like at this point, like if I had people I was like living with and be like, hey, I'm going to move here. Like we're all moving together. Cool.
But a lot of people do say like living on your own is an important element of your growth. Like I guess I don't know that, but
do they say that as like living by yourself, or do they mean like away from your parents?
I think they kind of mean both. You know?
Yeah, I could see that.
I'm saying some people say it. I don't think it's true for everyone, obviously, but I mean, I actually can't answer that question, to be honest.
I don't know if I like am making this up, but I feel like there's a stigma actually, maybe not anymore, maybe this never existed, of people who have roommates as opposed to living on their own, as if like they're more like they haven't made it yet. If you know what I mean.
I think you're right. I think there is a kind of,
Really?
people do talk to you like that. Yeah, like, oh, you have roommates. Well, when are you gonna kind of like grow up and
Yeah.
live on your own?
Oh.
It's a thing. It's definitely a thing. It's just kind of like that thing of, oh, you still live in your parent's house.
It's not as
I don't think it's quite
severe,
as-
but
No.
But it
I'm saying
it
the
does
parents'
exist.
house. I'm saying it's kind of in a
level.
Right.
there are levels, like parents' house, then you go to roommates, but you know, then you
go
to
alone, and then you move in with your partner.
yeah, exactly.
That's
You know,
supposed to be-
I realize I actually always, I think Aya, you can relate to this, but when we went to all of us remember, just to recall, we all started out in the same place, right? Preschool, elementary school, we're all in the same high school. We all went to the same university. Actually, it appears, I guess the same for you. Didn't we all live in our own childhood homes while we
yeah.
were in university?
No.
Oh, you didn't, Pierce. So you're the only one. So that's interesting. So I always,
My parents made us. They're like, it's fine if you go to university here, but we're not allowing you to stay at home because
It's
we
so
I
think
had
it's
the
funny.
important.
opposite. I
it's
want
the opposite.
that.
Yeah, my dad was like,
I was
you
literally
gotta,
not.
you
Yeah.
should
Yeah.
go to university here, even though I think both of us, right? We both got into universities in Toronto that we could have gone to for things, but our parents pressured us to stay
For money.
in London so that we could live
Yeah.
at home for money reasons, right?
Literally,
And of
yeah.
course,
I was told you're not going anywhere. You're going to Western. It's not a discussion.
and both of us live like 5-minute drive from the university, right? So
It's
of course
true.
it
I
makes
understand.
rational sense.
I know, but it's still shitty.
Yeah, I always wanted that experience of living in the dorms.
I was like, I could have walked to university from where my parents live.
Oh yeah, you were really close too.
Yeah.
I
exactly.
did. Like when
We did too.
in the summers, like when my roommates like all went home, I felt kind of weird like staying there by myself. So I would move back into my parents' home during the summer.
Mm.
And there was like a summer, maybe multiple summers where I did summer, whatever it's called, summer school. Like you take summer
Mhm.
Summer
courses.
courses. Yeah.
And I would walk to school from our home. So
It's so when it's so practical like that, of course it makes sense. But I always like wanted
Yeah,
that
but we missed
experience
out
of
on,
living in the dorms.
yeah.
Like I was just, yeah, like you,
I
I'm
don't
sure
even need to
you
live
did
in the
too.
dorms, but like at least living like on camp or living with other students. Like I never really had that experience. And I mean, I probably
Yeah.
would have hated lots of aspects of it because let's be honest, it's me. Like I would have been like, I hate this person and I don't want to live with them.
But you still want that experience in your life.
But
You
I
see all
still
these
want it.
movies. You saw all
Yeah.
those movies when people go
I
off to
talked to people who were
university.
like, "Oh, my university friends." I'm like, I never really made university friends the same way. I mean, Josh, you did. You went out of
Yeah,
your
I
way to
did.
kind of make friends, and that's
And then they all came and partied at my house.
yeah, yeah.
To be fair to
So
my
that
family,
works.
though,
But
I did have a lot of freedom in my own house. It's not like I was still like I felt free within my home.
so did
Like
you
my
stay there the whole?
during my entire undergrad, I was,
Oh,
yeah, at
so
home.
I moved out in my second year. I should
Okay.
clarify, but against
Against
like
the wishes of your family.
like they were like, no, you can't move out, and I was like, I'm going to, and they were
so
like, well,
did you get a job for that?
yeah, I got a job. I was working at Wendy's at the time, and they were like, well, you can't leave. Like they were extremely unhappy. And my dad referred to my place as a prison all the time, like the place that I got as a prison.
Maybe you just have to see it as they loved you so much that they wanted you around all the time and they were willing to coerce you.
Man, they did it again when I moved out to this place. They were like, why would you move out? Why would you throw away money on
Oh
rent?
my
Why are
God,
you
it sounds
throwing your
just like
money
my
in the
dad.
garbage? I'm like, dude, it's not throwing money in the garbage. I'm gonna have a place to live. Like,
I'm like, Dad, I need to grow. I need to leave. I need to get out of here.
well, this time I was like, I'm 30. I don't want to have this discussion again about because I finished my PhD while living in my parents' place for a bit because I was like, I'm just gonna
Yeah.
focus on this. Or I finished most of it. And then I was like, I'm moving out again. Sorry, guys. And they were like,
This
if you
again?
want to throw your money away. Yeah. Sorry, Ma, I love you. Okay.
That was my favorite
That was a
part.
great part. No, you know what? I think, I mean, both of you, I guess, did get to move away at some point during undergrad, right? I didn't actually, I took 5 years doing undergrad there, right? So I think I went kind of extreme then in that in my fifth year there, I was applying to USC because I heard it was the best film school in the world.
Mm.
And it's all the way in Los Angeles. And I remember it was scary in a way, but it was also like, I need to get to that next level of my life. It felt like that, right?
Yeah.
And the fact, when I got in, it was like, it was just a sure thing. Like, that's what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be moving to Los Angeles, California, which is, again, it's a totally different coast and it's a totally different country. And I knew nothing about Los Angeles. I actually thought Los Angeles was going to be like this crazy nightlife town. I don't know whatever I saw on TV. No, it's like wake up in the morning, walk your dog and eat kale kind of a place.
I'm sure that part
A
exists.
bunch of people are into astrology.
Oh.
No, there's
Yes.
some nightlife aspects, but it's not New York, it's not Chicago, it's not
Does it have a downtown? Like
it
that's
does,
what
but the downtown is not even the main part of LA. Like I always call it like you can look,
Mm.
but you can't touch kind of a downtown. Like it's kind of nice, but doesn't feel alive like other downtowns.
Oh.
LA is very spaced out. It's not like there's this row. Even in London had Richmond Row, you can like walk down and there's parties and people walking around.
People yelling at you.
Everything's very spaced out. So you need a car and you need to get, from place to place. But that being said, that move for me, I remember it did feel like it signaled the next phase of my life when I moved to Los Angeles. And again, the way anybody who knows me, I tend to do things in a very unconventional way. And like when I moved, you guys both know, well, my friend Roman and Grant, both of you, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
So Grant, they both kind of helped me move. But when I say they helped me move, like I had like a party, I think like a going away party before I moved that night. And then my flight was like later that night.
What?
And then they came and
Gosh.
helped.
Oh my god.
I think
so
Stressful.
stressful.
Yeah. And then they helped
Yeah.
me. I started moving. I started packing like 3 to 5 hours before I left. And this isn't like a vacation. This was me moving my life to Los Angeles. So
That's so
it wasn't even just stuff I was bringing. Like I brought my desktop PC, which Grant helped me build it. And he was like a big part of that, right? So he helped me pack that up and put it. I don't know if you know anything about a desktop PC, but it's not a very easy
Big.
thing to put on a plane. Yeah. So we had
Like
to
the
like,
big tower?
yeah, we
Yeah.
had to take stuff out of it and make sure that, things didn't get shaken around.
I did that too, but what I did was I went to FedEx or something or
Oh, they have a special way
UPS,
to do
and
it.
I was like, here, and they're like, all right, thank you. See you in Calgary.
I was cheaper than that, so I had to do things in a cheaper way, I guess. So
I don't
like,
even know if it's cheaper.
Yeah, but
Like
you
you
didn't
probably
have
had
to
to
do
pay
it
for
3 hours before.
you probably had to pay for like extra space on the airplane. Whatever.
I don't think I
That's
paid for extra space. I think it was heavier because of it.
extra
I think I had to
luggage.
pay because it was heavier. But yeah, I had like two big, massive, check-in bags or whatever. But like that was like 3 to 5 hours before. But the nice thing was that Grant came with me, and I made me think like when you said your mother
He's
came.
like my mom.
Exactly, Grant was like
Grant's
my
your
mom.
mom.
Oh,
Grant was my mom, and honestly, my dad has never come to visit me in Los Angeles, and a lot of people go, "Oh my God, what?" But when you understand my dad, it just makes.
Was your dad the U.S. one, or was that your mom?
So my mom is American,
Yeah, because you have citizenship.
so I have dual citizenship, which does make my
has
move.
she come to visit you or?
Aya, how could you?
I know. I thought I'd go there.
You can go
You've
there
been
anytime.
making your dead mom jokes all the
I know,
time.
I know.
thought
You
I'd
you are
try.
obviously always allowed to make dead mom
I'm
jokes with me.
sorry. I'm sorry. I feel really
I'm
bad
just
now
joking. I
though.
just wanted to
But I
make you
thought
feel
like
bad.
maybe you'd make like a ghost joke.
I felt even weird calling Grant your mom too.
No, it's all right. You both are allowed to make dead mom jokes with me anytime you want.
Thanks, Josh.
They have to be funny though.
Was it funny?
It was all right.
It was
It
all
was
right.
okay. It was okay.
Okay. Okay. It wasn't. Okay.
Yeah. So my mom was the American. So yes, I'm a dual citizen. That was part of obviously why I was more easily able to move. Although there's a whole story. Actually, quick side note here. Although I knew I was American, I didn't actually have proof of my citizenship. And I just thought I had it somewhere. I was always told all my life, you're American, you're American. And then when it came time to like prove it, I was like, what do I have? And so
Were you just like stripping down? Like it's got to be
I
here
was like,
somewhere.
I don't understand. What do I do? Oh, I guess I need a passport. So how do I do that? And I called them and they're like,
Yeah.
through who? And I told them it's through my mother. And they were like, oh, well, could you get her on the phone, please? And I'm
Oh
like,
no.
I no, she doesn't want to come to the phone right now. So they're like, oh well, we need something, like we need to be able to prove this. So I had to go like digging through my basement to find stuff. I called her brother, my uncle, and he didn't like really remember things. Like I needed to know how long she was, when she was in Buffalo, New York, how long she stayed there, when she left, all this
You
stuff.
were you born there?
No, I was born in Canada, but
Oh,
you are
okay.
able to get American citizenship through your parent, with some stipulations. So I eventually did manage to find what I needed, but I freaked out at one point and I ended up trying to apply for a visa. So I applied for this visa, but then the visa wasn't going to come in for way later after I had to go to school. So that was unnecessary and stupid to do. So I got my citizenship, like my proof of it, just in time, my passport. Oh, phew, right? But then every time I would come back to visit, I'd be in the airport and they'd pull me into a room and someone would come talk to me and be like, so it seems you've overstayed your visa.
Oh no.
And I'm like, oh no, I'm a citizen. And they're like, you're a citizen. And I'm like, yeah. They're like, well, then why do you have a visa? I'm like, well, it's a long story. And then I'd have to tell them that story. And this kept happening for like years. They kept telling me I overstayed
Well,
my
now
visa.
you can just show them this episode. You'll be like, wait. Here you go.
This will be quick. Just listen to this.
I think the last time that happened
Yeah.
to me, I was like,
Just
please,
listen to
I was like, please, can you make it so this doesn't happen again? I don't need a visa.
Oh,
Get rid
okay.
of this visa
Yeah.
thing. And then, so anyway, that was a digression. But anyway, so I moved. I remember like coming with Grant, and just like with your mom, I think that was so helpful to me. Like I've always felt so indebted to Grant for coming. I mean, for him, it was like, oh, cool, I'm going to LA. It's a vacation. It was also good for him because he got to meet. Okay, so when I moved in with some USC film friends that one or two of which I actually met online in like a kind of a forum beforehand. We were all kind of trying to find each other, figure out what, I didn't have any, when I was moving here, I had nobody I could really talk to about what it was going to be like to move to LA for film school like this. This was a very, there wasn't a lot of other people, I guess, who had done this in our community. So, we all had to we found each other online, and I was kind of just learning by talking to them, and we were learning together. And, Grant also became friends with all of them. So whenever Grant comes to visit now, like, they're all like, oh, Grant, hey. I think a bunch of people all thought that he actually, lived in LA. But he stayed with me for like a week, and then he left. And it's kind of like when your mom left, I remember feeling like, oh, shit.
It's real.
I live here now. This isn't a vacation. Because the first week was like, oh, I'm checking out LA. But unlike you, I actually have a cousin who lives in Los Angeles and her family.
I had a cousin too. I just had never met them.
Yeah. Okay. So
I did meet them after I moved there.
yeah. So what I mean is I had met I knew this cousin. She's wonderful. Her family is wonderful. Her kids are wonderful. So I did feel like I had it's really I think it does say something like when you have close family or friends somewhere, it does help make it feel like home. This is what we talked about in our home episode. So that helped make it feel like home a lot faster. But again, as soon as Grant left, there was that feeling of, oh shit, and a little bit of panic of like, I'm on my own here. Right. Now, was I really on my own? No, I had that family. I had to, also, I think having school, just like you said when you started work, right?
Yeah.
Having, for me, school really felt like that infrastructure you need, I think, to move forward. And the fact that I also lived with some, roommates that became like really good friends. Like some of my very best friends they're still my friends, really close friends. Yeah, that move, I think it really, really matters whether or not you have like that infrastructure. One, like you said, work or school, or two, people, right? Family or friends that were already there that you can make really quickly. So yeah, that move for me actually became a lot smoother after that. And then you just feel like, oh, I'm in school now. Like this is just my new reality.
Yeah.
So,
It's just, it takes up so much of your life. So
exactly. That was what everything was. And also, I was living with people who were in school with me, right, for my first year. And I lived close to the school. So that was my first year. I lived in this kind of tight knit living situation with 3 other students. But the next year, I moved into this big old Victorian mansion that you still see me in. And I lived with people who were, some of them were students at USC, but they weren't film students for the most part. And I was actually able to kind of like slowly, I felt like I was like expanding away from just having the school be my life.
it's good.
So I think it's good to have those things to help us transition when we move.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know if this was the only reason that we're doing this episode, but when I talked to you like a couple weeks ago, Josh, about you were coming in to visit and I was telling you what I was doing, and I asked you something that was on my mind, and I said like, why does anybody move anywhere? Like
Yeah,
what is the reason? Because as somebody who's working remote, like even before COVID, it becomes like, okay, I can kind of live anywhere. Like, so why would I, like, what's the reasoning for me to choose this place over another place?
that is exactly the reason, by the way, we're doing this episode. When you said that to me, I was like, we got to talk about that on the podcast. And you didn't just say this out of nowhere. You were considering moving, right, to Toronto from
Yeah,
London.
yeah. So I still, I mean, I don't know that there's a specific answer. I mean, everyone has their own reasons. I still feel like, for the most part, maybe family are like the biggest reasons.
Yeah.
Like you move there for a job, you move there for school, and then afterwards
Mhm.
you're like, well, I guess I just live here now because
Yeah. Or for family, if you want to start a family somewhere, people do that, right? They move with their families.
yeah,
They want somewhere nice to raise their kids. But you are in a more unique circumstance, right? You can be working remotely right now, right? So you don't have to live anywhere in particular. So you're asking yourself that
So
question,
why
right?
Toronto?
Yeah, why Toronto? Why
yeah.
do you want to move there, or do you want to move there,
So great about Toronto. No.
What do you?
Everybody loves Toronto. It's so busy though.
I didn't like it before.
I also didn't used to like it as much.
Basically, there's like a few aspects, but I would say like if you could put it into one general category, it was just social reasons. Like
Mm.
more people that I could, like, basically it's not just that there's more people, but I thought that there would be, by the nature of there being more people, that there would be more people that I could find that I could connect with. Like I'm sure there'll be way more people that I don't connect with too, just because there's more people.
Right.
Uh,
Yeah, just more options, more
yeah, and
more
there's a.
chances that you'll find someone good.
I'm not like so. I'm not like going to synagogue all the time and stuff like that, but I like having that Jewish community.
Oh, of course, community is a huge part of things. Oh, just to cut you off for a second, that's a
So
huge thing, by the way. When I moved to LA, I immediately found the Jewish community here, Chabad, and actually that was a huge part of what helped make it feel a little like home. And the fact that all these community, Jews, they're connected, like they all kind of knew each other. Even the rabbi in London knew the rabbi. In fact, the rabbi here is from Toronto.
The
So
connection.
yeah, that community aspect is huge.
Yeah. I mean, there's different types of communities too. Like that's just one. But when I was thinking about social things, I was like, oh, got these possibilities here. I didn't know if it was going to like work out. And arguably part of the Jewish community has worked out so far. Some of it has been still up in the air. But I came here, well, I guess further back, like my impression of Toronto has always been like this big city. It's busy. I don't want to live there. Like I hate this. Like let me get out of here as fast as possible. And then last year I came to visit just because I was feeling kind of desperate. Like I just like I want to meet more people. Like I want to feel connected to people, but I don't know. I don't think I like Toronto, but I don't know what else to do. So I guess I'll go visit and see what happens. But I'm sure it's going to be terrible. So I came last year for a weekend. I mostly just hung out with family. Like I visited people and I walked around a bit, checked out the city, and was like, I had like another panic attack, I think, at some point.
No.
But
Oh,
a part of that was that I found that, like, oh, okay, there's like different parts of the city. Like maybe it's like not so bad in some areas. So that was like, okay. But then COVID kind of came
All right.
back and we went into lockdown. And I thought, I'm not going to worry about this. I'm just going to like
mm.
do my thing at home. I don't really have a choice anyway because everything's locked down. So I'm just not going to think about this for a while.
Like you were in London still,
Yeah,
Yeah.
like went back. I
but
was
in
only
your
there
own
for,
place.
yeah.
You weren't okay.
Yeah, so I was only
Sorry.
in Toronto for the weekend, and I was already. I mean, I skipped some other parts of my life, but at this point, I was renting a place in London and living on my own again.
So you had moved to your own an apartment. You moved away again from your mom's place to
Yeah,
your own, and then also didn't your mom also just move? Like didn't she
she
move?
moved Reese like way after me, but yeah,
May I ask quickly what that was like? Like
it was
your own, because you
horrible.
don't. It was horrible.
Or I hated it. Like, I mean, the move was whatever, but like, it just the thought of like losing that house. I was like, oh, but this is like, I was like my whole life here. Like, I'm gonna lose like even though like I didn't live there even, it was just like,
It was your
It's
home.
home. It's what we were just talking
yeah,
about. Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah. I was like, how I'm gonna lose my home? Like I'm not gonna have a home anymore. Like this kind of sucks.
It's like your home base,
Yeah.
right?
Do you
Yeah.
feel now that you lost your home, or do you feel like you're? I mean, we just talked about this in the last
I
episode.
mean,
I'm just curious. Like, is a home the place or is it the people?
I lost a home, but you can make a new home.
Mm,
And also, it was never gonna be like what I wanted it to be again. Like everybody in my family moved out and was on their own in different cities, so like that home was not the same anymore anyway.
Mm.
I
yeah.
might have had like I still had memories of it and like the thought of losing it felt kind of bad, but at the same time it still wasn't what it was.
Right.
Would you say that's because the majority of what made it home was the people and what you did there?
Yeah. You kind of, well, maybe not you. I think maybe most people do this. Like it does get a little bit associated to the place. So like
Yeah.
there
Yeah.
is some like emotion from like leaving that home, even though the people aren't there anymore.
Yeah.
But yeah, most of it's
Yeah.
the people. Like if, well, I don't know how this would have been, but if we were all living together, like my whole family, we're like, hey, we're all gonna move to like this other house. I don't think it would have bothered me that much. I'd been like, okay, like that's too bad we're leaving homes, but like we're just gonna have this new home together, like whatever.
Mm.
But that didn't
Yeah.
happen. So
Do you feel that the new home where your mom is kind of a home for you as well now, or is it too new for that?
I'm kind of used to it. It's not like it doesn't have like the same feelings of home.
It doesn't have like the same history,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Like,
exactly.
If I may ask this, is it kind of related? Does it bring up, thoughts of your father?
The home or the old home?
Well, the fact that when the old home kind of, because that was the house you grew up with your dad. So did it feel, was that part of the emotion of when you saw that home going away?
It wasn't specifically my dad. It was just the whole family like unit. Well, and not just the family. Like we'd have like big gatherings of relatives there. We'd have like 30 cousins or however many. Like,
Yeah.
hey, everybody, come into our house. We got this big house. Like we're gonna have a big Jewish holiday
And it was
together.
a big house.
Yeah, it was like all that stuff. It wasn't specifically my dad.
Yeah.
like basically what happened. I don't want to like take up the whole podcast with this.
No, you're a guest. Take it up,
No, well,
whatever.
it's just like not really related. It's just to get back into moving stuff. My time after I came back from Calgary, I stopped looking for jobs and was like, maybe I can become a freelancer somehow. I don't know how do people do that, but I don't know. And one thing I saw was like, oh, well, you got to blog. And then once you're like really well known, people be like, oh, this guy knows what he's talking about. We'll hire him. So I started blogging
Oh yeah.
for like, I think I tried to write something every week for like, I think I did it for like 6 months or something. And like viewership went up and I had like some feature. Not really. Like my post would get like redistributed on
Like a
some other
spotlight
sites.
sort of
Yeah,
thing.
yeah. No, I
Okay.
remember that
Um,
actually.
Yeah, it's featured. Yeah. Okay,
and I
that's
was
cool.
like, cool, but like this isn't giving me any money and like I'm still not having any clients and like this freelance thing's not really going anywhere. I didn't really know what I was doing either. I was just like, I don't know, this will just turn into business somehow. And I wasn't really doing that. And eventually I was like, I've written a lot and I don't know that I want to keep writing so much forever. So maybe I'll get a job again. But the jobs in London weren't that appealing to me. So I thought, maybe I can like get a remote job. And anyway, I got a remote job somehow.
Somehow.
My kind of criteria for moving out was like, well, I need a job or I'm not going to move out because then I'll have income. And it seems kind of weird to
Yeah.
like be like paying rent on savings.
And now you had a remote job. So
Anyway, I got that. And then I thought, well, but I kind of need a car though. Like then I'll move out because if I don't have a car, then it's going to be hard to get around. And so eventually I got a car and then I found a place to live. I think I was supposed to move in like May or June, and my dad died in May. Through my dad, like I didn't really know them, but my parents knew the developer, the builder. I said, I'm just going through all this stuff. Like, I actually like really don't feel like I can move right now. And they're like, we totally understand. Like, we have another place that's coming up in like, I don't know, like August, another one in September. Like, do you want to like swap with one of those and we can like rent out your place to somebody else? And I said, sure, like let's do September. So I ended up moving like in September, but I was still like really dealing with things. So I thought like I'm just gonna stay there on weekends and then I'll stay at home during the week. I like very slowly moved out and at some point I just was there every day.
made the transition better, right?
That was that move. So it's very different.
I think this is a good kind of place to end kind of a part one of what we're talking about here. And why don't we pick up, from here, a part two, because I feel like this is, we got plenty more to say. What do you say, Pierce?
I disagree. This should be one part. What are you doing, you maniac?
I think that is a great idea, Josh. This has been another episode of Adulthood, friends. Thanks for joining us. If you want to hear the second part, please continue listening. And if you haven't already, please subscribe, like us on Facebook, etc. And tune in for part 2 next week.
I'll see you next week. How do you usually end this, Josh?
I think one of us is talking and then, some music sort of comes in.